Hello everybody, it's Reimu again, and this one's going to be a replay analysis by one of the viewers. He was asking about, he just picked up carriers, and his first line is the German line. He just has a few questions like how and when does he strike the grouped up enemies? How many times should he pre-drop, and why he ended up losing the game? Build wise, everything is standard. He only has a 15-point commander, but he has all the essentials regarding the armor, the plane HP, and also concealment, as well as increasing the plane speed. He is running on stock MVR right now though, but generally it shouldn't really mean too much. He did only have a 100,000 game on this defeat, but he was just wondering what he could have just done better. And now let's see, how do we unpause this? There we go. All right, so matchmaking. It is, we got triple Montana, Yamato. Let's see here. Everyone is pretty standard actually. There's no one too scary. The Holland triple Montana is going to be quite a bit of an issue. If the Montana's group up, that's going to pretty much be a no-fly zone, especially with stock planes. So he does pre-drop. He starts with rockets first. Let's just see how he plays this out. I am going to be trying to speed this up a little bit here and there just to save some time. How do I do this? There we go. So normal scouting, the initial part. Okay, so he finds the Mino, the Shimakaze Montana. Yamato is going to most likely be with either the Venezia or the Zhao. Alright, so it's with the Zhao. So this is an easy target. He can just strike this immediately. That is a good broadside target as well. And he did... Okay, yeah, so replay bug. But yeah, that is a very good drop. 15k. That's on one drop. That's pretty ridiculous. But that's a very good strike. It got her down 25% HP. I guess he's just... Okay, that's a little BM there. He starts off with rockets again. Pre-drops once again. So we do have eyes on where the A flank is going to be. A flank is the weak flank, or generally should be. Trying to find the Zhao once again. Zhao does have fighter planes, so we have to keep note of this. Zhao immediately turns away, which is fine. Yeah, she learned her lesson. So now, so you have 3 planes coming back now, so that's good. Your reserves on rockets, it's fine. He's going rockets again, and I hope he's not going after the Mino here. I think he is actually. So generally, when you're going against the Mino or any cruiser that can smoke, you would generally want to bait out their smoke first. Do a countdown in your head, trying to get the best time to strike him again when the smoke is running out. So right now Mino did just smoke, so because you don't have any radar on this team actually, like at all, Mino is not going to be a target to strike at all. And the way I like to play my MVR or any of the tech tree German carriers is as more of like a reactive carrier, seeing what the enemy does, letting them do their thing first, and then I go off of that. In this case, Mino did smoke, so the reaction to that is wait it out and then come back once the smoke is starts to finish. Okay. Speed this up just a little bit here. So we are seeing at the normal line that the enemy usually goes to on the C flank. They usually form a line here. Both Montanas are going up as well. This is going to be generally a no-fly zone. You don't want to go near this area. Instead, I'll focus more on here, using your torps to actually try and get the reset on the Kleber, because that's the higher priority. Zhao is getting reset non-stop because she's still spotted she's just spotted by the Holland, and now you're spotting her. The Kleber, it needs to, because the Kleber has been in the cap for the longest, he has the most points. So if you can get any resets on the Kleber, That's gonna reset this cap all the way, pretty much majority of the good lucky drop there. Majority of the point system. In this situation, I wouldn't be running away because of just how stealthy you are. You have a 12.2 concealment on MVR. I'm pretty sure that's the that's the surface concealment. Let's see. Yeah, you have a 12.2 concealment on your carrier. That's very, very, very stealthy. And in this situation, I will just park right here and slowly just reverse. You can just reverse towards the enemy team. So this way, you have a exit point. I don't think you'll be able to get the striker strike off. Oh, you do seem to land it. Oh, fuck! Oh! Wow! Okay, okay, that is a very good drop. Oh my gosh, bless Minotaur's armor. Wow, that is actually very good. Due to the replay bug, I couldn't really see how well that was aimed. That is very wow. Okay, okay. But yeah, back to the what I was saying in terms of positioning. I would like to leave my carrier bow facing away from the threat, and then just slowly reverse to it, like manually actually press S and reverse, so that later on when the threat does start to pile up more than, you know, faster than I can deal with them, I just full speed out, because you will always be able to full speed accelerate away than doing a full, you know, 180 or reversing reversing out to safety. So as we can see here, they are grouped up right here, and they are grouped up right here. Now, this is kind of, I think this is where you're asking how to strike grouped up enemies. Now, you just, in this kind of situation, you have to think to yourself, who am I dealing with? All right, let me pause it right here now. This is a good spot. Who on your team, who on the enemy team are you dealing with? Who has more AA on either side, and who are the easiest targets to kill for you as MVR, or, you know, or whichever CV you are. You are going as no CV as well. Okay, I just noticed that. But those are the things you should be thinking to yourself. And in this situation, over here you have a Holland, you have double Montana. Okay, these three ships alone, that's very scary anti-air. You will pretty much lose your planes, majority of your squadron, after striking either one of these targets. United States battleships, they have very, very good close range anti-air, and that's the point where you start losing most of your planes. Holland is just Holland, you know, your European destroyer things. Meanwhile, on this flank, there's a Kleber, Shima, Zhao, Yamato, and a Montana. Zhao is hugged up by the island. That's the last time that we saw her. Generally, at this kind of situation, before you position your squadron up here in the north, I would be going after the Zhao, seeing how the last known position of the Zhao was by the island. She is going to be trying to travel by the islands here or cut through to the center. While she's doing this, in this process, she doesn't have much space to maneuver. So I will come with either rockets and angle to her broadside and get that strike off, or I will be going with the dive bombers, and best time to get the cruisers when they're by the island, or any ship rather, because they don't have anywhere to move. They're trapped. Sure, it provides them safety from other ships, but as MVR or as any other carrier, you don't want to be parked up by the island for too long. Now, you see that you are going to be going after this midway. I see this position coming up. Oh. Let's see what we're doing. I guess he's just providing spotting. Yeah, that's the plan. Okay, alright. See, that happens a lot with MVR or any tech tree German carrier. You start up a squadron, but you don't find the perfect target at that moment to strike. Now, that is one of the mistakes on the player, where they pick a squadron and they realize, hey, I'm not going to get any usage from these from these planes. So they just recall them, or they just throw them out, getting a very poor drop off. As German carriers, because of how limited the usages are, the flexibilities are with each of your squadrons that you have to really think about it before you send up the next squadron. Like right now, you are getting this torpedo bomb strike off on the DD, trying to get as much damage in, trying to reset them. But while you're getting that aim up onto that drop and starting to recall your planes, you got to think about who is going to be the next target to drop. Now right here, as you're dropping that Shima with torpedo bombers, I immediately saw this Montana, who is a major threat to the north flank, who is alone. This other Montana who's going to be running by the islands, who's also going to be a good target with dive bombers. This Montana has all this open space, and I do not find her to be a very attractive target to strike. You actually landed 2 torpedoes there. That's actually really good. And that's a perma flood too. No, it's not. Never mind. I don't think you got no, you didn't get the flood the first time. That's a very good drop. But yeah, out of these 3 Montanas, I would always pick the ones up in the sea flank, because they are spaced enough now to the point where their AA is not going to be too scary. Audacious is focusing center because she wants to protect the destroyer. This Montana has a lot of open space to angle and maneuver to dodge your dive bombers. So now you're stuck in a situation that a lot of other German carrier players have, where they're just flying around trying to find a target when they could just be flying out, strike the target quickly. Especially in this case, if you went up north, doing the attack run, recalling, and then getting the next rotation out. It's a lot of wasted time, especially for the German carriers. It's a bigger impact against you because just your lack of flexibility with the squadrons. So now we're just doing the usual, trying to get the drop off and then reset the planes, get the next rotation off. You are looking around trying to find the next target. It should be on the sea flank. Venezia is out of the fight. Holland is dead. Shima, Montana, they're going to be the next targets here. The enemy team is starting to push up against you, so you got to clear these guys out. If you don't clear these guys out fast enough, south and mid are going to be just steamrolling you. They're putting you up in a pinch, so you have to open up something. You take the choice of focusing the Kleber, which is not going to be the right, very good choice, because it's Kleber. You're not going to, it's a very difficult target to even torpedo bomb. Shima, you can spot the Shima, but all you have are battleships left, which is very, very, it's going to be very tricky. So trying to get as much damage on the Montana, trying to clear her out as fast as possible is going to be the correct choice here. Okay. Speed this up just a little bit. Pre-dropping as usual. So the answer to pre-dropping is generally when you feel like you're gonna lose planes on that strike, it's always safer to just recall the planes, and pre-drop. It's always a safer option, but I don't like to pre-drop right at the start, because it means that that's one squadron less, one attacking squadron less that I have to use on a potential chain drop strike. And this, in your case, you did pre-drop, you let the 3 planes go back, but because you didn't have those 3 planes, you couldn't get the chain drop on the Montana just now. Now you're basically in a very sticky situation, you and your team, where Kleber was able to push up, the Montana from center pushed up, and now you're getting pinched in this kind of, fashion. It is pretty much GG at this point, because there's just crossfires everywhere, and now your team is just trying to end the game, trying to let it end as fast as possible. So things that you could have done to basically prevent this. Focusing the south more, taking a flank and just focusing it non-stop. North was at a stalemate for a while, and in this, they did manage to actually come out on top, but the Montana on the center and the other, the Shima in the center, they all managed to push up through mid, create crossfires and pressure, and then that's when C-Cap just started falling apart. What I would have done is just focus A side non-stop, potentially try to slow them down. But what I was saying earlier with focusing C side for the correct targets to strike is, C side, it was not a good strike at all. Just because they had a Holland and they had double Montana and Holland, yeah, it was a double Montana, Holland and double Montana. The Zhao over at ACAP, very easy target to kill. Yamato, very good target. Shima has no AA, so she's also a very easy target to kill. It's just all these things together where it's just, it's just a big chain event, or chain events that leads to this defeat. Because A side, you had all your battleships on C side, C cap. Majority of them were on C cap. They were all very healthy, but because of this, because of just the mistakes from early game, mid game, and now late game where your team is just in a pinch, there's just nothing that they could do, honestly. In this kind of game, like I said earlier, I will point my bow away from the threat, which is going to be A side, and then slowly just reverse to get closer and closer, and focusing only on the A cap. C cap, double Montana, and a Holland, your team was doing fine with them just being there. They were able to win the fight. But, they managed to cap, they managed to clear out these guys, and they pretty much at that point a stalemate. I would say focus. A lot of times it's pretty difficult trying to figure out which flank to focus, especially if the flank has a very strong push coming or forming up. It has majority of the enemy team there. That kind of thing just comes with experience. Like you would generally get an idea of what you can, what you can't do, and in this case, you really needed to focus the enemy's stronger flank for sure. Of course, the other things with German carriers where you have to start up the correct squadron, you want to always be looking at the minimap. Always want to look at the minimap, trying to decide what is the best squadron to run next. That is a very huge thing. And what else? That's pretty much it, really. Pre-dropping, I would generally not do it at all unless I know for sure I'm going to lose the planes, and that, other than that, I just don't pre-drop. I feel, and where I am right now, I feel confident that I can get the strike off successfully, and every plane that I have in my attacking squadrons, I would use them as a resource to make so that my next chain strike is, I'm able to pull it off with the full amount of planes that I have. But that kind of thing, it just comes with experience. And one thing you have to take note about the enemy's position is looking at the minimap, see who is by an island, see who is a good target. Like that Zhao or the Yamato who was hugging the islands over at A cap, the Zhao rotating over to B cap, she was by an island as well. So that's a very, very easy target to strike. And then the last thing is, as MVR, as I said, I play a more reactive role. I don't initiate things like how I do with Midway or the other tech tree carriers, for example. Just because of how, Midway, she's very versatile. She can strike anyone whenever she wants with any squadron that you currently have in the air. German carriers, there's a more strict rule for each of the squadrons. Like you can't if you run torpedo bombers, they're best used against cruisers and destroyers. If you use it on battleships, that's not going to really do anything. You would rather use dive bombs against battleships. But if you fly out with torpedo bombers, all the cruisers are in smoke. The destroyers are all grouped up with their team. You have no proper target to strike, and then next thing you know, you're going to be forced to strike that battleship who's hugging in who's all the way in the back with his ships. You're going to lose the torpedo squadrons, and you're not going to get the best outcome out of what you could have been getting if you just ran it up with dive bombers instead. You could at least land a couple of citadels. Sure, you'll be losing the planes, but they have a heal with the dive bombers, and you'll be landing a good amount of chunk of damage on the battleships. Citadel damage permanently handicapping them for the rest of the game because they can't heal it back. So a lot of things like that with the German carrier line, and that's why I always recommend people, even though MVR has the highest game impact, especially over Haku and over Midway, even though she has the greatest game impact alone as a carrier, just because of the amount of pure damage you can just dish out per strike, they are also the hardest carriers to learn, especially as a first line, because of just how strict each squadron is in terms of target selection. Knowing, just if you're playing Audacious, playing Midway, playing Hakuryu, you can strike anyone with your squadrons and still get a good result because they have fires. Damage over time effects like floods and fires. You can strike anything, get a lot of chunk of damage, 5k, 10k, even more, even on a bad drop. But German carriers, I don't feel like, I don't want to say it was a mistake to go to German line first as your first carrier line, but I feel like it would have helped a lot more if you went with the United States or the Japanese, just to generally learn the fundamentals with target selection and knowing which squadron to run. That was still a good game. It was 100k. That was a really good strike on that Mino, but I feel like there could have been a lot more done this game. I really feel like this game was winnable, definitely, because your team managed to hold off C flank, which is the north, very well up until the end of the game. So I feel like this game was definitely winnable. But that's pretty much what I'm getting for this game. If you do have any questions, you can feel free to email me or DM me in Discord again, and I'll just answer your questions there. If you guys have anything to add on to this that I may have missed, then you can just comment down below and try to help each other out with other people who might be having the same issues. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate the constant support, and I'll see you guys in the next video.